Hello everybody. It's that time of year when those of us who organise ourselves using paper are thinking about next year's diary inserts. I print my own and I was wondering whether using Tomoe River Paper would be a good choice this year. I've read a lot about how Tomoe River Paper is very good for use with a fountain pen, but I couldn't find anything regarding this paper being used for printing, so I decided to try it out. The internet suggests almost as many ways of pronouncing Tomoe as there are web pages, and I have no background in Japanese, but I think that Tomoe is close. In any case, it's not Tomo or Tumu or anything like that. It's a constant irritant to me that speakers of English seem to think that an E at the end of the word in a foreign language is just there for decoration. Anyway, that's beside the point. This is an import. As this is an import from Japan, if you're not in Japan, it pays to shop around to get a good price. I was quoted €20 for 100 sheets from Amazon, which would then be imported from the USA to Germany. I found it instead on a German site called Papier und Stift. I'll link to the product page below, for €12. It may be cheaper elsewhere, but obviously it's significantly more expensive than other printer papers. The first thing to notice is that it is sold as white, but it's actually off-white. So yes, it's a shade of white, but it's not pure white. Let me show you some sheets for comparison. In this video, I'm comparing cheap and cheerful 80 GSM copy paper from Hewlett-Packard, which is this one. A GSM being grams per square meter, which is the higher the number, the heavier the paper. So that's 80 GSM. This is 100 GSM satin matte paper from Avery, and 52 GSM paper from Tomoe River. I've also placed here a page from a Filofax insert, which they call the color cream. Now, I'm not sure how easily you will be able to see the difference here, but to me, the Tomoe River is more like ivory. So this is what I would normally consider to be white paper. This is the Tomoe River paper, which is sort of off-white ivory color. This is the cream from Filofax. So you may be able to see that the color is not white. It's a shade of white. It's ivory. Obviously, the paper is very thin indeed. It's similar to airmail paper, which the older of us will be able to remember, probably. This means it has to be handled quite gently because it buckles and creases very easily. Okay. I tested the print quality using my Office Epson inkjet printer. The point of fountain pen friendly paper is that it reduces absorption of the ink by the paper, so that there should be less ghosting and feathering of the writing. But that means that the ink sits on top of the paper and takes longer to dry. This does have an effect when printing on it. So let me see if I can show you this. Right, so this is normal printing paper. You can see from this circle there's a couple of these extraneous little dashes. And this is the Tomoe River paper, and you can see there's more of these little extraneous dashes. Here you can see them better than here. So the reason for this is because the ink doesn't dry completely before the head of the printer moves on to the next row. So it does have an effect. It's not a huge problem, but it's there if you look carefully. Here, maybe you can also see the difference in the color between the white and the ivory. The really obvious difference you notice when printing on both sides of the paper is the really significant ghosting. And this seems to depend on the weight of the paper. So if I put these in order, of weight, 100 GSM, 80 GSM, 52 GSM, you can see how much ghosting there is with the thinner paper compared to the slightly thicker paper compared to the thickest paper. And this ghosting is what's on the other side of the paper showing through to this side. This is really very significant ghosting. I think it could be quite distracting when this is being used. I think it will take some getting used to in the inserts. There's a lot of reviews online about using fountain pen on the Tomoe River paper, so I won't go into that deeply here. I did test using two Kaweco pens, this one with an ultra-fine nib, which leaves less ink on the paper, this one with a medium nib, which leaves the page a little bit wetter, and I also tried with this Stabilo Boss highlighter, which is fairly wet. The writing experience on the Tomoe River paper is similar to the 100 GSM paper. It feels a little bit more slippery under the nib, which may take a little bit of getting used to. You can see how much more this 80 GSM cheap GSM copy paper has absorbed the ink, because the writing here is much thicker. It's the same pen. Here the ink is sitting on top of the paper. Here it's been absorbed, so there's more feathering, and the letters are thicker. Tomoe, of course, no problem. I will note that the ink took quite a significant amount of time to dry on the paper. I use a sheet of blotting paper in my organizer to counter this, so that when I've written something, I put the blotting paper in before I close the insert, so that I get so I don't get this printing being written reflected, printed on the other side of the paper where I don't want it. Looking at the other side of the problem, you'll see that the ghosting and the bleed through is not a big problem for the better quality paper. So the Tomoe here, there is some ghosting, of course, but not a great deal. This is the 100 GSM, even better. The copy paper, you can see the highlighter has almost come through, it's almost bled through, and the wetter of the ink has come through too. So this is not good for fountain pens, but the other two are fine. So obviously Tomoe River is good for fountain pens, and the double thick 100 GSM also. The great advantage, so I found a lot of disadvantages of this Tomoe paper, of course. The great advantage is that it has much less bulk than the other paper. So here is an original X47 6-monthly diary insert. And compare this one to the one I printed out for myself last year on the Avery 100 GSM paper. And you can see that they are similar in bulk. The 100 GSM is perhaps slightly thicker, but they're quite similar. Here is the one I have printed out for the first 6 months of 2026 on the Tomoe River paper. And you can see it's significantly less bulky. It's about half the width of the 100 GSM, which means that it's lighter, easier to carry around, and also easier to process. So it's easier for me. It was easier for me to staple, and easier for me to guillotine the edges. I could do that guillotining in one go with this. I had to do quite a lot of hacking to get it correct in this one. Depends on your paper cutter, of course. I don't know how this insert will work for me. I feel that the ghosting may be irritating initially, but I'll probably get used to it. I don't know. But I'll give it a go. And anyway, I hope you found this useful. Take care, and until the next time.